各位觀眾大家好，歡迎收睇26分鐘見證實錄。2024年嘅聯邦財政預算案將會喺今年嘅4月16號提交。咁究竟現時嘅經濟政策對於公眾產生咗啲乜嘢嘅影響？而民眾對於新一輪嘅財政預算案又有啲乜嘢嘅期望呢？我哋一齊去睇睇。Libby 劉冰喺本地一間大型國際公司擔任人力資源信息系統經理，而佢嘅先生 Alan 係一間中型非牟利機構嘅執行總監。佢哋係典型嘅加拿大中產階級家庭。夫婦二人喺2021年購買咗一間符合佢哋收入條件嘅獨立屋。夫婦二人表示，隨住目前本國經濟走下坡，目前家庭嘅可負擔情況亦都面臨一定嘅挑戰。
因为比方说我们现在呢，如果是有收入的话，那觉得还可以负担，还可以坚持住。但是一旦说如果是经济情况有发生变化，或者一旦有一个人工作情况发生变化的话，那么我们马上就会面临到没有办法支付现在的这种高利率的情况。如果政府可以出台一些政策，可以保障有一个 insurance 这方面的东西，就是可以给我们一个 buffer time 的话，那这样也会给我们有一点点的这个缓解的压力。另外的话，如果政府可以出台一些类似的政策，比方说可以拿这个利率可以 defer 这个 tax， 像这样的情况下，也可以缓解一下当前的压力。这样的话会觉得对我们来讲，可能会有一些帮助。
Over the last 10 years, Canada was a top country, but in the last 10 years we've been like, I've got my hands like this because it feels like we've been really squeezed, and the government's saying that they're going to be there to help the middle class, but where have they been for the last decade? It's great that they're starting to think about us, but where have they been before? So it's very, very easy for them to do it now because they haven't been there.
而對於聯邦政府推出嘅可負擔房屋相關政策，Libby 夫婦坦言，佢哋並唔認為中產階級係政策嘅受益者。
我们不觉得对我们会有很直接的一个关系，因为目前来讲，所有的这种 housing，比如 low income housing，那对这个低收入家庭的话，的确是一件好事。但是对我们来讲的话，好像没有感觉有特别直接的一个利益所在，也没有觉得很有信心说build 这么多的 low income house 会把房价给稳定住。目前没有太大的信心在这方面。
Absolutely. With the housing, it really is aimed at the lower end. And for, again, who's going to be paying for it? It's the middle class. And they're not talking about wrapping any packages around it, the housing as well, to help us with the economic development, helping people through that can make the housing affordable. So where's the add-on to the packages as well to make it better?
另外的话，我也想再加一条，那么就是包括建这么多政府要建这种住房的话，所有的这种收入是从哪里来的？这个 cost 还是要 middle class 的税收来去补贴这些东西，所以感覺很可能是要更加要多加收入才能夠去負擔建這麼多的房子。
Libby 夫婦希望新一輪嘅聯邦財政預算案能夠穩定物價，有效咁控制通貨膨脹，咁令到稅收真正能夠惠及廣大國民。
目前来讲的话呢，我们的确是觉得生活压力非常的大。对我们一直来讲，比较理想的方式呢，就是整个家庭投资的这个比例来讲的话，我们是希望30%是放在这个房贷呀，或者是房租，另外30%呢是放在这个存款，就是退休基金上这样为将来有一个保障。那么剩余的40%呢，就用于这个每个月的花销。但是现在呢是达不到这样子，因为现在我们60%以上的收入都用在了这个房款的负担上，那这样的话我们就完全没有办法去，再加上这几年呢，这个物价一直在上涨，所以没有办法去做退休的这些计划。那这样的对我们来讲的话，实际上是有很大的一个 concern 的因为一旦如果说工作停止的话，那这样将来退休的情况就会比较的麻烦。
The real loss of savings through this real tightening has been quite a pain. It really reduces our ability to do retirement savings, even things like international trips. We've basically travelled locally. I'm glad that I'm fairly handy in terms of any repairs on the house. If something major came up, I don't know where we'd be. It is quite a tightening. So really expectations on the government. They've got to be able to loosen up some funds, make life a little bit more affordable so we can, I want to retire before I'm 100, so it'd be nice to at least have some savings before then.
而另一方面，本地餐飲業主楊虎亦都表達咗對於現時嘅聯邦財政政策不滿嘅情緒。佢認為徵收碳稅增加咗餐飲業嘅負擔。
酒你不能賣原來的價格了，他給你增加碳稅了，你這個油錢，你要比過去多花錢了。隨着這些東西漲，那七七八八都得跟着漲，菜呀什麼這個那個那個全都漲。你肯定有影響。你現在經濟是下行的，老百姓不出來吃飯，他兜裡沒錢了，因為你收稅收太多，你也沒有什麼鼓勵的政策、補貼的政策。
同時，佢亦都指出，聯邦政府應該適當咁收緊對難民嘅福利政策，而將本國民生放喺首要位置。
其實從聯邦層面來講呢，我不反對那個接納難民。我也不反對支援外國人，我不反對，但是那些錢你如果要拿來，有人你看網上就報道哈，一個月拿8000塊錢，難民啊，住着政府的房子，政府聯邦給他一個月8000塊錢，他不去上班，他日子過得滋潤得很，他也不交什麼稅，除非出去消費要交個稅，其他他沒有，他不需要有任何負擔，房子政府給的，你拿這些錢來幹啥？你行那些善，你現在已經有的老百姓，已經有的民眾生活已經這麼難了，你聯邦不去考慮，把那些錢拿去一弄幾十萬難民，一弄給誰多少？
佢直言，目前本地餐飲業面對住巨大嘅挑戰，希望新一輪嘅財政預算能夠增加對餐飲業嘅扶持政策，以幫助佢哋渡過難關。
比如說房租啊，比如說工資啊，比如說稅收啊。稅收減免啊，它這麼難，他又不能不發。你作為老闆來講，你答應給員工多少錢了，你到時候你不發，他告你去，他有權利啊。可是你發吧，你沒有，沒人來消費，你拿什麼發？我這比如說一天，我營業額，比如說一天1塊錢，哎，我能都發出去了。他現在一天營業額可能只有6毛、5毛，但是他人來上班了。食材你得買，水電氣房租都在，你得花這個錢，那你哪兒來呀？你1塊錢我可以夠花，現在只有5毛一半，或者是6毛，成本都不夠，怎麼辦？那他現在聯邦他不管了，疫情期間他管，現在他不管了。
而時事評論員董達成就表示，新一輪嘅財政預算應該及時解決目前政府面臨嘅挑戰。
燃眉之急咧，可以講通貨膨脹、食物物價嗰個上升咧，影響我哋無論係耆英又好、家庭又好、青少年發展都好，都直接影響嘅。咁所以喺短期咧，我覺得政府咧喺呢一個物價點樣去舒緩我哋中產或者低收入嘅人士喺呢方面咧協助，咁當然去平衡呢一個通貨膨脹喺個銀行利息啊，喺呢一個點樣配合我哋嘅經濟發展咧？聯邦政府係有能力喺呢方面咧係有啲政策去部署，咁所以我希望咧呢一個財政預算可以配合到呢啲政策。最重要。其實咧，財政預算只不過係一個計劃嚟嘅啫，所以執政政府咧係有責任將呢啲預算咧係實施喺個實際嘅政府政策上邊嘅。咁所以無論執政政府、反對黨咧喺呢個財政預算之後咧，都要監察政府喺呢個施政咧係做得恰當。
董達成亦都指出，聯邦政府應該優先支持公眾最關注嘅項目。
嗱，我諗民生咧係今次我哋喺呢一個疫情之後，同埋咧戰爭連連咧喺不同嘅地區咧，引致我哋嘅供應鏈啊，引致嗰個整體世界嘅經濟復甦咧係緩慢嘅。咁問題加拿大係我哋有資源啊，咁我哋咧係點樣去做咧？例如我哋係加速我哋去提供我哋嘅工業，提供隱憂。係去改變呢個世界供應鏈嘅改變， 我哋有人才咧，就係發展我哋嘅長線咧，就係一啲研究嘅投資啦。近啲嘅咧，就係點樣去配合新嘅技術咧嘅一啲訓練課程俾我哋嘅年青人。咁呢啲咧新嘅科技咧技能咧，其實係加速我哋嘅經濟嘅發展。而我哋加拿大屬於 G7 先進國家咧，其實我哋應該喺呢一方面咧係投資一部分嘅。咁所以喺呢一個政府嘅財政預算，我都希望咧係有呢啲類嘅發展，甚至乎我哋嘅綠色工業、綠色嘅科技咧，都係應該政府係大力投資嘅。
董達成認為呢一次聯邦財政預算案嘅主要受惠群體會係年輕人。
咁我相信喺政策上咧，同埋政治上咧，可以講咧，今次聯邦政府咧要爭取翻一啲年青人嘅票，尤其是係女性方面啦。咁所以喺托兒服務咧，經過舊年前年一啲政策咧，其實去到咧之後，亦有一啲咧叫做服務不足嘅或者係資源不足嘅反映嘅。咁聯邦政府今次咧，我相信咧佢提及呢一個托兒服務，我相信佢亦會加一啲資金喺呢方面咧，直接協助到一啲年青嘅家庭。咁事實上咧喺我哋見到今次民意反映咧，喺個通貨膨脹喺個生活上邊成本咧都係加重嘅。咁所以我相信聯邦政府一定喺呢一方面咧係着墨，尤其是係年青人年青人嘅票、年青人嘅一啲關心嘅議題咧，佢一定會係做嘅。咁過去舊年咧，其實對牙醫服務、對兒童啦、牙醫嘅保健啦，咁我諗今年咧會落實，同埋對耆嬰咧都有嘅會落實嘅。咁所以我相信今次嘅財政預算咧，會喺年青人、普羅大眾方面咧、民生方面咧係着力嘅。
本國國民目前正係不斷受到嚟自通貨膨脹同埋高利率嘅挑戰。咁新一輪嘅財政預算案係咪會為本國目前充滿住挑戰嘅經濟注入新動力呢？而聯邦政府又會優先考慮邊一啲嘅事項呢？我哋下一節翻嚟再睇啊！歡迎翻嚟節目時間。咁早前，聯邦副總理兼財長方慧蘭就2024年嘅聯邦預算案接受咗本台專訪。咁到底佢今次所定出嘅聯邦預算能否對國民所關心嘅問題對症下藥呢？咁今年嘅聯邦預算案重點又會放喺邊一度呢？副總理你好啊，首先好多謝你今次親身嚟到我哋嘅電視台接受我哋今次嘅專訪啊。
It is a real pleasure and a privilege to be here. Thank you for your time, and thanks to your whole team.
咁你即將會喺4月16號公布2024年嘅聯邦預算案啦。咁可唔可以透露一下當中會包含啲乜嘢嘅優先事項啊？
So our budget is going to focus on 3 things: housing, affordability, economic growth, and all of that with a uniting objective of unlocking the promise of Canada for young Canadians.
咁其實你哋較早前係啟動咗預算前嘅公眾諮詢㗎，咁表示希望想了解多啲國民最重視係啲乜嘢。咁你嘅預算案將會點樣切實咁反映到你所聽取到嘅民意呢？
Those consultations were really important, and they have formed the basis of the budget. I think that what we are seeing right now is for young Canadians, it's getting really, really hard. And that promise of Canada, it seems for too many young people, it seems out of reach. It seems like, maybe you can get a good job, you can work really hard, but will you ever be able to buy a house? Will you be able to live in the same community your parents live in? Will you be able to afford to have a child? And that's not okay. It's really not. And we can change that. And that's what this budget is going to be about. And the way to change that is, first and foremost, focus on housing. Build more homes faster. We're a growing country. I think that is wonderful. but we have to be sure that supply of housing keeps up. So everyone who wants to aspire to own a home, there's a home for them that they can buy. Second thing, I think we have to be concerned about affordability. We have to recognize that a lot of people are finding life is just too expensive. And so have some things in place to support people. And then the third thing that underpins it all is we need an economy that's growing. We need a lot of great jobs that are fun, that are fulfilling.
咁你講過呢一份預算案其中一個重點啊，就係要為下一代開啓美好嘅中產生活。咁你計劃點樣做到呢一點呢？
This is a budget also that I think will answer the concerns older Canadians have. Because I think that parents and grandparents, people in that generation, we see our kids and we see that it's harder for them and that it shouldn't be. And we want to be sure that our kids can have the same opportunities, the same ability to unlock the promise of Canada that was available to our generations. How will we do it? First, a real focus on housing. I think this is the most pressing challenge in the country. And there are a lot of things we have to do on housing, but there is one central thing, and that is build more homes faster. We're a growing country. That is wonderful. But a growing country needs to build a lot more homes, and that is what we're going to do. And you are going to see a no-holds-barred effort to do that. We do need to support Canadians with the challenge of affordability. We need to be sure that people have the support they need to live their daily lives, to pay their bills. And we're doing a lot there. I think dental care is making a big difference in the lives of a lot of families, and there's more that we need to do. Early learning and child care, another real game changer. I've talked to so many families with young children who say already with a 50% reduction in fees, childcare used to be like a second mortgage for them. But we need to keep working hard to get that down to $10 a day. And then the final thing that we need to do to unlock opportunities, unlock the promise of Canada for young Canadians, is we need an economy that's growing. We need prosperity. We need people starting great businesses. We need innovators. We need entrepreneurs. And that is how you have a country that has lots of great, fulfilling, good-paying jobs that allow people to afford a great, satisfying middle-class life.
目前啊，加國國民喺日常生活之中咧，繼續係感受到例如通脹啊、高利率嘅壓力，咁仍然咧面對住食品價格高企嘅日子，咁喺你嘅預算之中啊，會採取邊一啲嘅措施嚟到確保啦糧食價格方面咧有所調整，同埋國民嘅負擔能力啊？
On food prices, a really important step that we are taking is bringing competition into the grocery sector. That is the answer, and we have undertaken a generational, historic reform to competition law in Canada. Competition is what drives our economy. When businesses compete with each other, they do a better job for their customers. They offer better products, and they bring prices down. And we're going to continue working hard to have changes in competition law that gets businesses to do that.
呢幾個月嚟啊，聯邦政府一直咧都有提出有關啊改善房屋供應嘅措施啊，但係你認為啊呢一啲嘅宣佈啊，將會點樣，又或者會以幾快嘅速度能夠轉化為實際嘅結果呢？
We know this is such a challenging time, and we can't sit around waiting for one big bang. We have known we had to be present and we had to be acting every single day, and that's what we have been doing. What you're going to see in the budget, particularly on housing, is a really, really big further push. You're going to see us really leaving no stone unturned in getting more homes built faster. Now, I don't want to promise the impossible. I don't want to promise the moon. you can't build a house overnight. We all know that. And so things aren't going to change the day after the budget. But what I can promise to you, to Canadians, to everyone watching, is we get it. We know that this is an incredibly challenging situation, and we know that we have to do every single possible thing to get more homes built faster, and we are.
好多人都估計啊，呢一次嘅預算案唔會係一份大花金錢嘅預算，究竟係咪啦？同埋你將會喺邊一啲嘅領域削減支出啊？
We know that fiscal responsibility matters. We know that the way that we ensure that the Canadian economy keeps on growing is for the federal finances to be responsibly managed. We know that the way that we ensure that young Canadians are going to have a prosperous life is not to hand over unsustainable debt to them. That would not be fair, and we're not going to do it. So the budget will be fiscally responsible.
講到碳稅啦，其實已經有7個省份啦係要求暫停呢個碳定價上調㗎。其實點解唔可以咁樣做呢？同埋加拿大人目前嘅日常生活其實已經係壓力好大啊。點解自由黨政府咧對於上調碳定價咧係咁堅持嘅呢？
And I'm especially glad to be asked that question here in British Columbia, because British Columbia is Canada's leader. It's a world leader when it comes to having a price on pollution. BC has had its own system since 2008. The BC system was put in place by a center-right provincial government, and successive governments of the province have maintained and built on and improved that system. So BC actually doesn't have a federal backstop. BC has its own system, which works very, very well.
加拿大央行早前就警告話，表示本國正係面臨生產力疲弱嘅緊急狀況啊！喺呢方面咧，加拿大已經係落後於大多數七國集團國家啦。你嘅財政政策將會點樣幫助到去解決呢個問題呢？
We know government has its part to play, and we absolutely believe that we need to invest in research, we need to invest in innovation, we need to invest in entrepreneurship. We need to invest in basic infrastructure. And maybe the most important thing is we need to provide a stable predictable, strong underlying macroeconomic environment, which is one of the reasons I'm really glad you asked about fiscal responsibility.
為咗同新民主黨嘅協議能夠持續落去啊，聯邦政府咧落實咗牙科保健計劃啦，預計咧每年將會花費庫房大約係44億元㗎。此外啊，全民藥保嘅法案亦已經提交咗啦，預計每年嘅費用就大約係15億元。其實咧，我哋仍然係處於呢一個嘅赤字狀態啦。呢一啲錢從邊度嚟呢？
Dental care is a great investment in Canada, and it is a great way to make life more affordable and just better for Canadians. The action that we're going to take on some focused medicines is exactly the same. And, making contraceptives free for Canadians, what a great thing to do when it comes to affordability. And also, what a great thing to do for our country, for families, for women, for our society. So these are things we're really, really glad to do. I want to assure everyone who's listening, fiscal responsibility matters. We're going to do everything in a fiscally responsible way.
副總理，再次多謝你接受我哋今次嘅訪問啊！
Thank you.
好啦，今集嘅節目時間就差唔多啦。如果觀眾對我哋嘅節目有啲乜嘢意見嘅話，係好歡迎大家以電郵嘅方式同我哋聯絡㗎。我哋嘅電郵地址係 mag26@fairchildtv.com。如果觀眾想上網重溫今集嘅節目，亦都可以上到去我哋嘅網站3w.fairchildtv.com， 點擊節目重溫一欄就可以睇得返㗎啦。下星期同樣時間再同大家見面，晚安。